There is a silent war happening in your life right now. Not outside, but within you. A war between who you are and who you could become. Most people lose this war without even realizing it. Not because they are weak, but because they are distracted. They are too busy watching others, too busy explaining themselves, too busy trying to be seen, heard, validated, and accepted. And in the process, they abandon themselves. They lose focus. They lose direction. They lose control. But what if the real problem is not your lack of ability? What if the real problem is noise? Constant noise. People's opinions. Social media pressure. Comparison. Expectations. Unnecessary conversations. Endless distractions pulling you in different directions. You wake up every day with potential. But by the end of the day, that potential is scattered. Not because you didn't try, but because you gave your attention to things that don't matter. And here's the truth most people don't want to accept. Your life will never change until your focus changes. Not your intentions, not your wishes, not your plans, your focus. Because where your attention goes, your life follows. If your attention is on people, you will live for people. If your attention is on noise, you will become noise. If your attention is on distractions, you will stay distracted. But if your attention is on yourself, everything begins to shift. And that is where Stoicism comes in. Stoicism is not just a philosophy. It is a way of living that teaches you how to take back control. Control of your thoughts. Control of your emotions. Control of your reactions. Control of your life. It teaches you something powerful. You don't need to respond to everything. You don't need to explain yourself to everyone. You don't need to be involved in every conversation. Sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is nothing. Just observe. Just focus. Just move in silence. Because the truth is, the more you talk, the more you leak your energy. Every time you explain your plans, you weaken your execution. Every time you argue, you drain your focus. Every time you seek validation, you give away your power. And slowly, without realizing it, you become someone who is always reacting, instead of someone who is creating. But the people who truly change their lives, they move differently. They are not loud. They are not everywhere. They are not involved in unnecessary drama. They are focused. They understand something most people ignore. You cannot build a powerful life with a distracted mind. So they protect their attention. They choose silence over arguments. They choose discipline over comfort. They choose focus over validation. And because of that, they grow. Quietly. While others are talking, they are working. While others are complaining, they are improving. While others are seeking attention, they are building something real. And one day, the results speak so loudly, they don't have to say a word. That is the power of focusing on yourself. That is the power of silence. And in this video, you are going to understand why staying silent is not weakness. Why focusing on yourself is the most powerful decision you can make. And how adopting this Stoic mindset can completely transform your life. Because at the end of the day, you don't need more motivation. You need more control. Control over your attention. Control over your energy. Control over yourself. And once you master that, everything changes. Stop explaining yourself to everyone. One of the biggest mistakes you can make in your journey to becoming better is feeling the need to explain yourself to everyone. Why you're changing, why you're becoming more distant, why you're no longer available like before, why you're choosing a different path. At first, it feels natural. You think people deserve an explanation. You think if you just say it clearly, they will understand. You think explaining yourself will keep the peace. But the truth is, it does the opposite. The more you explain yourself, the more you open the door for opinions. And opinions are distractions. Because not everyone wants to understand you. Some people want to question you. Some want to doubt you. Some want to project their fears onto you. And the moment you start explaining yourself, you give them access to your direction. You give them the opportunity to influence your decisions. And slowly, without realizing it, you begin to adjust your life based on other people's comfort. You start second-guessing your choices. You start overthinking your moves. You start seeking approval instead of trusting yourself. This is how people lose themselves. Not all at once, but little by little, through unnecessary explanations. But when you begin to focus on yourself, something changes. You realize that not everyone needs to understand your journey. You realize that your life is not a group discussion. You realize that your decisions don't need validation, they need execution. And this is where silence becomes your strength. When you stop explaining yourself, you protect your energy. You protect your vision. You protect your focus. Because now, you are no longer wasting time trying to make people comfortable with your growth. You are simply growing. And yes, people will notice. They will ask questions. Why are you so quiet now? Why don't you come around anymore? Why are you acting different? And in those moments, you will feel the pressure to explain, to justify, to make them understand, to soften the change. But this is where your discipline is tested. Because growth is uncomfortable, not just for you, but for the people around you. When you change, you disrupt expectations. People are used to the old version of you, the available you, the talkative you, the version of you that didn't challenge their comfort. So when you evolve, they feel it. And not everyone will like it. But that is not your problem. Your responsibility is not to remain the same for people's comfort. Your responsibility is to become better. And becoming better requires distance. It requires focus. It requires silence. Because every time you stop to explain yourself, you pause your growth. You slow down your progress. You divide your attention. But when you stay silent, you stay aligned. You move forward without distraction. You act without hesitation. You build without interference. And over time, something powerful happens. You become more confident in your decisions. Not because people agree with you, but because you trust yourself. You no longer need approval. You no longer need validation. You no longer need to convince anyone. Because your results will do that for you. And that is the ultimate level of power. When your life speaks, so you don't have to. So from now on, understand this clearly. You don't owe everyone an explanation. Not for your growth. Not for your decisions. Not for your silence. Some people will understand. Some people won't. And that's okay. Because at the end of the day, it's your life. And the less you explain it, the more you can focus on actually building it. 2. Protect your energy at all costs. If there is one thing most people underestimate, It is their energy. Not physical strength. Not time. Energy. Because your energy is what fuels everything in your life. Your focus. Your discipline. Your consistency. Your growth. And yet, most people give it away so easily. To conversations that don't matter. To people who drain them. To arguments that lead nowhere. To distractions that add no value. By the end of the day, they feel tired. Not because they worked hard on their goals, but because their energy was scattered, wasted, drained by things that didn't deserve it. And this is where many people go wrong. They think success is about doing more. More work. More talking. More engagement. More activity. But the truth is, success is not just about what you do. It's about what you allow. What you tolerate. What you entertain. What you give your energy to. Because every time you say yes to something, you are saying no to something else. Every time you engage in unnecessary drama, you are stepping away from your purpose. Every time you entertain negativity, you are weakening your focus. And slowly, your life begins to reflect that. Scattered, unclear, unfocused. But when you start focusing on yourself, you begin to see your energy differently. You realize it is limited. You realize it is valuable. You realize it must be protected. And this is where silence becomes powerful again. Because silence is protection. When you talk less, you conserve energy. When you engage less, you stay focused. When you react less, you stay in control. You stop giving reactions to everything. You stop responding to every message immediately. You stop involving yourself in every discussion. You stop trying to fix everyone's problems. Not because you don't care, but because you understand something deeper. You cannot pour into your future if your energy is constantly being drained in the present. So you become selective. Very selective. About who you talk to. About what you engage in. About what deserves your attention. And yes, people will notice. They will say you've changed. They will say you're distant. They will say you're too quiet. They may even say you're becoming selfish. But what they don't understand is, you are not becoming selfish. You are becoming disciplined. You are no longer available for everything. You are no longer accessible to everyone. You are no longer reacting to every situation. Because you have something more important now. A vision. And that vision requires energy. Focused energy. Undivided energy. Protected energy. You cannot build something meaningful while being emotionally available to everything around you. It's impossible. So you make a decision. A quiet decision. You decide that not everything deserves your response. Not everything deserves your time. Not everything deserves your energy. And that decision changes everything. Because now, instead of being pulled in different directions, you are centered. Instead of reacting, you are creating. Instead of being drained, you are building. And the more you protect your energy, the more powerful you become. Your thoughts become clearer. Your actions become sharper. Your discipline becomes stronger. You start doing things with intention. Not because you feel like it, but because it aligns with your purpose. And that is a rare level of control. Most people never reach it. Because they are too busy being available. Too busy being reactive. Too busy being distracted. But you are learning something different. You are learning to be still, to be focused, to be silent. And in that silence, your power grows. So from now on, pay attention to where your energy goes. Because that is where your life is going. Protect it. Guard it. Use it wisely. Because once you master your energy, you begin to master your life. 3. Discipline over emotion. Most people live their entire lives based on how they feel. If they feel motivated, they act. If they feel tired, they stop. If they feel inspired, they start. If they feel bored, they quit. And that is exactly why they never become consistent. Because feelings are unstable. They change every day, every hour, sometimes every minute. You wake up feeling strong today. Tomorrow, you feel lazy. You feel focused in the morning. By evening, you're distracted. So if your life is controlled by your emotions, your results will always be inconsistent. This is where focusing on yourself requires something deeper. Discipline. Real discipline. Not the kind you talk about. The kind you practice in silence. Because discipline does not care how you feel. It does not wait for motivation. It does not depend on mood. It does not ask for comfort. It simply acts. Again and again. Whether you feel like it or not. And this is what separates people who talk about change from people who actually change. The ones who succeed are not always motivated. They are not always inspired. They are not always excited. But they are consistent. They show up when it's hard. They show up when it's boring. They show up when nobody is watching. Because they understand something powerful. Your feelings are temporary, but your habits are permanent. Every time you choose discipline over emotion, you build strength. Not physical strength. Mental strength. The kind of strength that allows you to stay focused when everything around you is trying to distract you. The kind of strength that allows you to stay silent when people expect a reaction. The kind of strength that allows you to keep going, even when it's uncomfortable. And this is where most people fail. They want results, but they don't want discomfort. They want growth, but they avoid discipline. They want change, but they are controlled by their emotions. So they stay stuck. Repeating the same patterns. Making the same excuses. Waiting for the right feeling that never lasts. But when you truly decide to focus on yourself, you stop negotiating with your emotions. You stop asking yourself, "Do I feel like doing this?" And you start telling yourself, "This needs to be done." And then you do it. No noise. No announcement. No excuses. Just action. Quiet, consistent action. That's where real transformation happens. Not in moments of motivation, but in moments of resistance. When you don't feel like it, but you still show up. When you're tired, but you still push forward. When you're distracted, but you bring your focus back. Again and again. That is discipline. And over time, something changes. What once felt hard becomes normal. What once required effort becomes habit. What once felt impossible becomes routine. You become sharper, more focused, more controlled, more resilient. And here's the powerful part. You no longer rely on motivation. You become self-driven. You become someone who can move forward, regardless of how you feel. And that is dangerous in the best way. Because now, nothing can easily stop you. Not laziness. not distraction, not emotion. You are in control. And that control gives you freedom. Freedom to build your life. Freedom to grow. Freedom to become who you're meant to be. So understand this clearly. If you keep following your emotions, you will stay where you are. But if you choose discipline, even in silence, even when it's hard, your life will change. 4. Learn to be comfortable being alone. One of the hardest things for most people is being alone. Not physically, but mentally. Sitting in silence. No distractions. No conversations. No validation. No noise. Just you and your thoughts. For many people, that is uncomfortable. So they avoid it. They fill every moment with something. Music. Social media. Chats. Calls. Endless scrolling. Anything to escape being alone with themselves. But here's the truth. If you cannot sit with yourself in silence, you will never truly know yourself. And if you don't know yourself, you cannot improve yourself. This is why focusing on yourself requires solitude, not loneliness. Solitude. There is a difference. Loneliness feels empty. Solitude is powerful. Loneliness is when you feel like something is missing. Solitude is when you realize nothing is missing. Because in those quiet moments, you begin to understand yourself, your habits, your weaknesses, your distractions, your patterns. You start to see clearly, without noise, without influence, without pressure from others. And at first, it won't be easy. Your mind will wander. You'll feel restless. You'll feel the urge to pick up your phone, to check something, to escape the silence. That is how addicted most people are to distraction. But if you stay with it, if you resist the urge to escape, something powerful begins to happen. Your mind becomes clearer. You begin to think deeper. You begin to reflect. You begin to question your own life. Not based on what others expect from you, but based on what you truly want. And that clarity is rare. Most people never reach it, because they are always surrounded by noise, always influenced, always distracted, always reacting. But when you learn to be alone, you take back control. You stop being influenced by every opinion. You stop comparing yourself constantly. You stop chasing things that don't align with your purpose. Because now, you understand yourself. And when you understand yourself, you move differently. You become more intentional, more focused, more calm. You no longer need constant interaction. You no longer feel the need to always be seen or heard. Because you are grounded. There is a certain strength that comes from being alone and being okay with it. A quiet confidence. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to compete with anyone. You don't need to be everywhere. You are comfortable in your own space. And that makes you powerful. Because now, you can work without distraction. You can think without pressure. You can grow without interference. And this is where real progress happens. In the quiet. In the unseen moments. In the time you spend with yourself, building, improving, reflecting. While others are chasing noise, you are building depth. While others are seeking attention, you are creating substance. And over time, that difference becomes obvious. So don't be afraid of being alone. Don't run from silence. Don't fill every moment just to avoid yourself. Instead, embrace it. Use it. Grow in it. Because the more comfortable you become being alone, the less dependent you become on the world. And that is freedom. 5. Stop seeking validation. One of the most dangerous habits you can have is needing other people to approve your life. It doesn't always look obvious. Sometimes it shows up quietly. Posting something and checking who liked it. Making a decision and needing someone to agree first. Wanting people to notice your progress before you even believe in it yourself. It feels small, but it controls everything. Because the moment you start seeking validation, you stop living for yourself. You start living for reactions. You start adjusting your behavior based on how people respond. You start choosing what looks good instead of what is right. You start chasing approval instead of chasing growth. And slowly, you lose your direction. Because now, your life is no longer guided by your purpose. It is guided by people's opinions. And the problem with that is simple. People's opinions are unstable. They change. They differ. They contradict each other. One person supports you. Another doubts you. One person praises you. Another criticizes you. So if you rely on validation, you will always be confused. Always second-guessing. Always adjusting. Always unsure. But when you begin to focus on yourself, you break free from that cycle. You realize something powerful. Not everyone needs to agree with you for you to be right. Not everyone needs to understand you for you to move forward. Not everyone needs to support you for you to succeed. And that realization changes everything. Because now you move differently. You make decisions based on your goals, not based on people's reactions. You take action based on your vision, not based on approval. You stop asking, "What will people think?" And you start asking, "Does this move me forward?" And that is where your power returns. Because now, you are no longer controlled by external validation. You are driven by internal conviction. And internal conviction is strong. It doesn't shake easily. It doesn't depend on applause. It doesn't need recognition. It simply moves forward. Quietly. Confidently. Consistently. This is where silence becomes even more important. Because when you stop seeking validation, you naturally become quieter. You don't feel the need to announce everything. You don't feel the need to prove anything. You don't feel the need to show progress before it's complete. You just work. You just build. You just improve. And the less you seek validation, the more focused you become. The more focused you become, the faster you grow. Because now, your energy is not divided. You are not thinking about what people will say. You are not worrying about who is watching. You are not waiting for approval. You are fully locked in. And that level of focus is rare. Most people never experience it. Because they are constantly looking outside, instead of looking within. But when you shift that, when you stop needing validation, you become independent. Emotionally independent. Mentally independent. And that independence is power. Because now, you can walk your path alone if you have to. You can make decisions without fear. You can move forward without hesitation. And nothing feels more powerful than that. So understand this clearly. The moment you stop seeking validation is the moment you start becoming who you're meant to be. 6. Let your results speak, not your words. Most people talk too much about what they are going to do. They announce their plans. They share their goals. They tell everyone what they're working on. And for a moment, it feels good. It feels like progress. It feels like movement. It feels like they're already becoming something. But in reality, nothing has changed. Because talking is not doing. And this is one of the biggest traps people fall into. They replace action with explanation. They replace execution with conversation. They get comfortable describing the life they want, instead of building it. But the truth is simple. The more you talk about your plans, the less urgency you feel to execute them. Because your mind starts to feel rewarded just for speaking about it. You get attention. You get reactions. You get temporary satisfaction. And that weakens your drive. That slows your progress. That keeps you stuck. But when you truly focus on yourself, you move differently. You stop announcing. You stop explaining. You stop telling people what you're about to do. Instead, you just do it. Quietly. Consistently. Without needing anyone to know. And this is where real power begins. Because now, your energy is not going into talking. It is going into building. Every hour you would have spent explaining, you spend improving. Every moment you would have spent seeking reactions, you spend executing. And over time, something powerful happens. You start seeing results. Real results. Not promises. Not ideas. Not plans. Results. And those results speak louder than anything you could ever say. Because words can be doubted, but results cannot. People can question your plans, but they cannot ignore your progress. They can ignore your words, but they cannot ignore your transformation. And that is the difference. When you talk too much, people judge your intentions. But when you stay silent and produce results, people respect your actions. And respect is earned in silence. So instead of telling people what you're working on, let them notice the difference. Let them see your discipline. Let them see your consistency. Let them see your growth. Without explanation. Without announcement. Without noise. Because when your life starts to change, you won't need to say anything. People will see it. In how you move. In how you think. In how you carry yourself. And that is far more powerful than any words. So understand this clearly. You don't need to convince anyone. You don't need to prove anything through talking. You don't need to explain your vision. All you need to do is build. In silence. With focus. With discipline. And when the results come, they will speak for you. Louder than any explanation ever could. 7. Master your reactions. There is one thing that controls most people, without them even realizing it. Reactions. Someone says something negative, they react. Someone disrespects them, they react. Something doesn't go their way, they react. Instantly. Emotionally. Without control. And in those moments, they give away their power. Because every reaction is a form of surrender. You are allowing external events, external people, external situations to control your internal state. And when that happens, you are no longer in charge of your life. You are being controlled by everything around you. This is why so many people stay stuck. Not because they lack potential, but because they lack control over their reactions. They get distracted easily. They get offended quickly. They get pulled into unnecessary arguments. They waste energy on things that don't move their life forward. All because they cannot stay still. But when you begin to focus on yourself, you start to see reactions differently. You realize that not everything deserves your response. Not every comment deserves your attention. Not every situation deserves your emotion. Not every provocation deserves your reaction. And that realization is powerful. Because now, instead of reacting automatically, you pause. You observe. You choose. And that small shift changes everything. Because now you are in control. You decide what affects you. You decide what matters. You decide where your energy goes. And this is where silence becomes your greatest weapon. Because silence is not just about not speaking. It is about not reacting unnecessarily. Someone tries to provoke you, you stay calm. Someone misunderstands you, you stay focused. Someone doubts you, you keep working. No emotional outburst. No need to prove anything. No wasted energy. Just control. And that level of control is rare. Most people cannot do it. Because their ego is always involved. They feel the need to respond. To defend. To argue. To win. But in reality, they are losing. Losing time. Losing focus. Losing energy. But you are learning something different. You are learning that true strength is not in reacting. It is in restraint. The ability to stay calm when others are emotional. The ability to stay silent when others are loud. The ability to stay focused when others are distracted. That is power. Because now, nothing can easily shake you. Not criticism. Not negativity. Not pressure. You remain steady. And when you are steady, you become unstoppable. Because while others are busy reacting, you are busy building. While others are losing control, you are gaining it. And over time, that difference becomes your advantage. So from now on, watch your reactions. Not everything needs your response. Not everything deserves your energy. Sometimes, the most powerful move you can make is to stay silent and keep moving forward. Conclusion. At the end of the day, everything comes down to one decision. Will you continue living a distracted life? Or will you take control? Because focusing on yourself is not easy. It requires discipline. It requires sacrifice. It requires letting go of habits that feel comfortable. You will have to talk less. You will have to distance yourself from certain people. You will have to ignore things that once mattered to you. And most importantly, you will have to face yourself in silence. But that is where your power is. Not in noise. Not in attention. Not in validation. In control. Control over your mind. Control over your energy. Control over your actions. Because when you master those things, everything else follows. Your growth becomes inevitable. Your focus becomes sharp. Your life begins to change. Quietly. Without announcement. Without explanation. And one day, you will look back and realize the moment you stopped trying to be seen was the moment you started becoming powerful. So from today, focus on yourself. Stay disciplined. Stay silent. and let your life speak for you. If you got value from this, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more powerful content like this. And drop a comment below letting me know what part spoke to you the most.